Alive and alert on the north side of the dirt. It is your man D Real coming at you with another Be Real with D Real, where Edutainment explains it. It's time for another Spaaaace Ghooooost installment, issue number 6. I told y'all at the last Spaaaace Ghooooost video I did, they were coming through with classic Spaaaace Ghooooost characters, and so far that's what we've gotten. Last issue was Zorak, and as you can tell from the title, this issue is Moltar, a classic Spaaaace Ghooooost villain. So far, that's all we've had. Besides Dr. Ebal. Who's Dr. Ebal? If you've been keeping up, you know who Dr. Ebal is. But before we get into all of that, let's do what we need to do so we can do what we want to do. Comment, like, subscribe, and share the Be Real with D Real page so that when the material comes out, you get it. If you're digging with a brother shoveling and put some dirt in my bucket, comment, like, subscribe, and share. How come? Because edutainment, you know what I do. We edutaining on this issue. Dynamite Comics, Spaaaace Ghooooost. Check out Dynamite. They got a lot of cool titles. Spaaaace Ghooooost number 6. David Pepose on the story. Jonathan Lau on the art. That cover is looking sharp. I like the way Moltar looks on the cover, but in the book, he seems to be a little more doughy, shall we say. But let's press on because we got some prologue. And the prologue is basically the evil Dr. Xander Ebal reaching out to the being who is Moltar, learning about how a company called Contra Industries is somehow responsible for the death of his family and the disfigurement of his body. Being a scientist, he is ready to strike back the only way he knows how, through molten magma science. I made that up, but that's kind of what his stock and trade is. He deals with the liquid magma. Okay, and here he is. He's putting his gear on, and he's gonna make Contra suffer. And he is now Moltar. Please try not to think about Spaaaace Ghooooost Coast to Coast. Flash forward. Moltar is giving Spaaaace Ghooooost, Jace, and Blip all they can handle with his molten men and his lava cannon, I guess that's what you could call it, on a crime spree, purposely attracting Spaaaace Ghooooost. But Spaaaace Ghooooost has his cryo ray that deals with the molten men quite soundly. And Jan ain't got no problem popping people. Meanwhile, Jace is writing in his journal about how he's traumatized because he had to kill Zorak last issue. So he's really a basket case right now. So the stuff we get from Jace at this point is kind of depressing. But Spaaaace Ghooooost still trying to handle his business with Moltar, but Moltar, like all villains do, to get the hero off their back, they endanger innocents. So Spaaaace Ghooooost has got to turn his attention to saving the building, while Jace and Blip are saving the people inside. And Moltar gets away. Meanwhile, Jace continues to sulk. Back in the ship, tells him he wants him to sit this one out. And he's not worried about it because he's kind of depressed anyway. He's still worried about killing and death and all of that thing and how he's traumatized by that. Can't be a hero and deal with that. Meanwhile, Jan is trying to cheer Jace up, bring him out of the doldrums. Even Blip offers a banana, but that doesn't do any good. And so Jan decides the only way we're going to keep Jace occupied is with some science. And so she's like, bruh, we got this elemental cannon, but we can't get it to work. And we know you're smart. So that's the way we can get you back in the game. Again, he's depressed. This ain't no game, Jan. Really, he really got on my nerves with all that depression in this issue. Meanwhile, Moltar is consulting with Dr. Ebal again And he's like, why are you fighting Space Ghost? And he's like, boy, stop it. Every time RoboCore is mentioned, Space Ghost pulls up. So you know that, and I know that. But while everybody's tripping on that, I took the time to find out the melting temperature of Space Ghost's force fields. Interesting. And he considers that as a courtesy to from one scientist to another. Here we are at Contra Industries, and Moltar is coming to exact his revenge with his seismic resonator that brings liquid magma up from the Earth's core. We all know what that'll do. And because it's involving Moltar, Space Ghost is winging his way to the problem. Will you be able to hold it down, Jace? You're going to have to, because me, Jan, and Blip are swinging into action against Moltar. And that is a very cool picture of Space Ghost leaping out of the Phantom Cruiser into action. Thank you, Jonathan Lau. That is a fine piece of artwork. And he's putting cryoscience on the Molten Men and a strong right hand to Moltar's grill. But Moltar seems to be armored up pretty well. But while he's laid out, he's laughing. Why is he laughing? Because now he's got Space Ghost where he wants him, and he's just going to watch Space Ghost burn. And there he is doing some crazy, oh, it looks so beautiful type of thing. Meanwhile, we see Jace deciding he's going to try to fix that cannon. Oh, my goodness. Why weren't you working on that cannon earlier, Jace? Better late than never, though, right? Because there we are, cryo energy or cryo beam or whatever you want to call it, ice. That is helping Space Ghost immensely. And Jan knows, oh, it's my big dummy brother. He has finally gotten his head out of his behind. And that's what it seems like. And there he is, supporting Space Ghost from the Phantom Cruiser. Remember a couple issues ago, he stole the Phantom Cruiser, so he knows how to fly it. Now, Molten Men are freezing up. Jace is starting to get his sense of humor back. But Moltar ain't liking that. And so he busts out, get his little magma gun or whatever you want to call it. And so he's like, you might have defeated me, but I'm going to get payback by killing your boy in the Phantom Cruiser. Space Ghost is upset about that, as we can see. He swings into action while the Phantom Cruiser is falling, and we get a fantastic image of Space Ghost doing Space Ghost stuff. Like that. And he's concerned about Jace. Does Jace understand that? Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. But once he gets the Phantom Cruiser on solid ground, he lets Jace know, basically, I'm not good at talking. I'm not good at expressing myself, but I'll be there when you need me. And that's all, I guess, that Jace needed to get his head out. Because as we look at the final page of this issue, we see Jace smiling, Moltar trussed up, and everybody is where they should be. So Jace is back in the game. Hooray! I like saying Jan and Jace. Not Jan, just Jan. They're a team. They should be together. Brother and sister, twins, as it should be. But as we see down below, what is going on in the next issue of Space Ghost? Blip versus who? The Creature King. Told y'all, we only got one more to go. One more flagship villain, not one more issue of Space Ghost. So I'm curious to see, what are they going to do after they show all of the main villains that we've seen from the Space Ghost series. I'm curious to see what new Space Ghost characters look like, new Space Ghost villains. I would love to see that. I would love to. Hopefully, the story will get to where Space Ghost finally gets to have a showdown with Robocore and the evil doctor, Xander Ebal. Are y'all enjoying Space Ghost? Is it opening up for you the way that it should? I mean, it seems like a lot of these stories just kind of wrap up and they're done, but there's an ongoing storyline. I can't say that I don't like that. It is an ongoing story about Robocore, is what it sounds like, and the Widow, Zorak, Moltar, Tansit, they're all just pieces in the puzzle that will ultimately get us to Robocore, showdown with Robocore. Hopefully we'll see Menace around here pretty soon, because he's my favorite Space Ghost villain. But yeah, everything is turning out the way it should so far. But let's see what's going on with Blip, Space Ghost, and the Creature King next month. Y'all make sure y'all pull up for the next issue of Space Ghost coming your way in November. That's it for now, y'all. But fret not, I will be coming at you with another one of them other ones. And until I do, y'all be good. Be good to each other.